for a new car, you may be more likely to focus on the features of the cars that you like rather than the features of the cars that you don't like. Now, imagine you're standing in front of a crowd, ready to deliver a speech. As you scan the audience, your mind starts to race. You focus on that one person who seems disinterested, or you worry about the potential mistake rather than appreciating the supportive faces around you. This is a perfect example of what we call attentional bias. Attentional bias refers to the tendency to focus on certain stimuli while ignoring others. It's a psychological concept that often affects our thoughts and behaviors, influenced by our past experiences, beliefs, and emotions. Attentional bias can be either conscious or unconscious, and it can affect our behavior and decision making. It is like a filter in our minds that makes us notice some things more than others. With this bias, our brains do this automatically. Sometimes it's like we have a set of invisible glasses that only let us see the stuff that's already on our minds or that we have strong feelings about. This can be handy when we need to concentrate on something specific, but sometimes it can make us overlook other important information. Consider a situation when attentional bias is clearly at work. As you're walking home, if you're very hungry, you're much more likely to notice food advertisements and restaurants. Your hunger creates an attentional bias that makes these food-related stimuli stand out. As a result, you might completely miss seeing that new bookstore, which does not trigger the same level of interest because it's not related to your current state of hunger. But why do we have this bias? One of the earliest tests of attention bias was first introduced during the mid-1930s. This method is known as the Stroop test. In this test, the participants were asked to name the color of the printed word. They were shown words that are either emotionally negative or emotionally neutral. The participants were found to pay more attention to emotionally negative words, so it took them longer to name the color of these words than those words that require less attention. Evolutionary factors seem to play an important role in attentional biases. People are hardwired to notice things in the environment that might pose a threat to survival. Other factors, including emotions, stress, expectations, and past experiences, can also impact whether we experience attentional biases in a situation. Negative sides of attentional bias. This bias can have several negative effects, especially when it distorts how we process information. It often leads people to focus on negative or threatening stimuli, reinforcing feelings of anxiety, fear, or sadness. This selective attention can contribute to the perpetuation of harmful stereotypes, which impair decision making and create unnecessary stress. In relationships, attentional bias can cause misinterpretations, fostering conflict or emotional distance. Over time, it can also reduce cognitive flexibility, making it harder to adapt to new situations or learn from experiences. Now let's take a closer look at how attentional bias shows up in different areas of our lives. Health and lifestyle choices. Mark has been smoking since his late teens. He's tried quitting numerous times, but every time stress hits, he finds himself reaching for a cigarette again. At work, the sight of co-workers stepping outside for a smoke triggers strong craving, pulling him away from his tasks. Even when he's socializing, he feels out of place when friends light up, and before he knows, he justifies joining in as one more won't hurt. Mark's attentional bias keeps him focused on the cues that reinforces addiction. He sees a cigarette and his mind fixates on the craving, the stress relief it promises, rather than the long-term health consequences he is aware of. Every time he tries to quit, The emotional pull is so strong that he feels trapped, deepening his sense of guilt and frustration. This cycle affects his health, his relationships, and his career, reinforcing his habit in ways that feel almost impossible to break. Personal life. Rachel and Tom are on a weekend getaway, enjoying a beautiful hike. But Rachel stumbles and twists her ankle. Suddenly, her focus shifts. Instead of enjoying the magnificent scenery or appreciating the fun they are having together, all she can think about in that moment, she fixates on the pain, the accident, and fears that she is ruining their trip. This fixation can easily overshadow the entire experiences. Rachel's mood shifts, she withdraws, becomes frustrated, maybe even a little embarrassed. Tom, on the other hand, may feel confused or hurt, wondering why Rachel is upset when they were supposed to be having a good time. What started as a small moment of discomfort becomes a source of tension, and without realizing it, attentional bias creates unnecessary strain in their relationship. Professional life. Sarah started a new job, and on her very first day, she spills coffee on her boss's desk. Despite receiving warm feedback from colleagues and feeling welcome, all she can focus on is that one mistake. Days go by and she becomes obsessed with it. She imagines her boss sees her clumsy and incompetent. Instead of celebrating the positive interactions she had, she's trapped in that one blunder. This is the power of attentional bias. Sarah's confidence crashes. She avoids speaking up in meetings, afraid of making another mistake. Over time, this affects her relationships with colleagues and her professional growth. But if Sarah could recognize her bias and begin to focus on the positive feedback she has received, she could rebuild her confidence and allow herself the chance to shine in her new role. While attentional bias is a natural cognitive mechanism, it can have significant negative effects when it becomes maladaptive or disproportionate. It's not just about one bad experience, it's about the cycle we allow to continue. The challenge is recognizing it, addressing it, and learning to focus on the positives instead of being consumed by the negatives. Whether it is perpetuating negative emotions, reinforcing biases, impairing decision making, or affecting relationships, attentional bias can distort how we perceive the world and interact with others, potentially leading to emotional distress, cognitive rigidity, and social isolation. Recognizing and addressing attentional bias is an important step in improving emotional well-being, mental health, and decision making. The more we become mindful of our tendency to fixate on the negative, the more we can train ourselves to shift our attention. It is about breaking free from the cycle and reclaiming our ability to see the bigger picture, the moments of joy, success, and connection that surround us every day. Best wishes.